Shakur Stevenson versus Edwin De Los Santos. Shakur Stevenson strives to become the face of boxing is a joke. All right, in this video, we're going to be taking a look at Shakur Stevenson versus Edwin De Los Santos. We're going to be setting a kind of a pace, right, or a tone for how the fight was going. Shakur Stevenson comes in with the jab, right, very close, very tough to tell if it lands. Most of these jabs were picked off by Edwin De Los Santos. Okay, now on the contrary here, a lot of times Edwin De Los Santos would throw jabs and Shakur Stevenson would immediately jump off the line with the pendulum step. However, a lot of the times Edwin De Los Santos would land his jabs to the body. Again, feinting, getting a lot of control. And then a lot of times also, here he is eating a jab here, where they trade jabs, and where it's obvious that Shakur Stevenson's jab was not as powerful as Edwin De Los Santos, right? So, very, very interesting idea because on the outside, you have a lot of jabs coming from Shakur Stevenson and not a lot of movement away from them from De Los Santos. A lot of times countering here, taking away jabs from Shakur Stevenson. But Shakur Stevenson getting a lot of credit in the commentary for his work, whatever that was. I don't know where he landed 21 left hands. I don't remember seeing him throw 21 left hands. But most of the sequences were Shakur Stevenson throws a jab, and Edwin De Los Santos catches it, parries it, takes a step back or stands his ground and pulls, and Shakur Stevenson leaves the line. Then there's Edwin De Los Santos coming forward with lots of jabs to the body, chasing him, landing with a jab to the body almost every sequence in the first 5 rounds. Just tons of jabs to the body that he didn't get any credit for. And again, with Stevenson running, and here's the jab to the body that Stevenson's trying to get back early in the second round, getting countered by a left hook here, and Stevenson would do this thing where he would kind of touch his nose, you know. Now, pushing him off the line here, penduluming, right, forcing him off the line, control, finds a body shot here, really good shot. Now, as soon as De Los Santos gets close enough to start landing punches and start throwing his rear hand, because he's the shorter fighter, Shakur Stevenson would duck below the waist. And then now look at him holding. Okay, this is a wrestling move. Okay, this is not just holding, right? This is not clinch fighting. This is a wrestling move. Wrestling is not allowed. And because Shakur Stevenson would use this as his main defense, right? When he wasn't jumping off the line, anytime he had to interact with Edwin De Los Santos, right? And again, here he is trying to counter his jab, pushing him off the line, chasing him, maybe stealing a body shot, right? Look, Shakur, come back. Look at him. He's outrunning the camera, right? But this is what would happen when Shakur Stevenson would throw punches at the line and attack Edwin De Los Santos. De Los Santos would counter him. There weren't very many attacks that Shakur Stevenson was landing and getting away with that Edwin De Los Santos wasn't countering or chasing him or pushing him off of. Now again, feinting him here, really, really good feint here. Getting Shakur Stevenson to snap. Okay, now in the next sequence, he's going to get on his line. Whoops, that's not the right one. Here we go. Feint him here, go the jab to the body. Shakur Stevenson's going to come in with his counter, right? He knows he wants to counter. Kind of gets him with a hook, kind of gets him with another hook. And again, De Los Santos lands another good shot here, chasing him away, landing even another good shot on the outside. I think that Shakur Stevenson realized that it was not a good idea to be trading with De Los Santos in these moments. And obviously, like everyone knows he has power. That's not where you want to fight him. But again, Shakur Stevenson tried to quote unquote box. But this wasn't boxing. He lost nearly every single engagement of the night. Every single time that Edwin De Los Santos stepped up to the plate, Shakur Stevenson struck out. Right? Think about a walk, right? He was walking De Los Santos, right? He just gave him so many free points, right? Even though it didn't look like it, he's going to get credit for what now? Now, again, jumping in with a leaping left hook, chasing Shakur Stevenson when Shakur Stevenson was brave enough to attack with him, right? Now, again, Shakur Stevenson's the one holding, wrapping his arm around him. Why does he have to do this? Well, because he's trying to duck below the waist. He's trying to duck below the punches. Again, His defense is a joke. This is terrible boxing. Again, eats a jab to the body here, pushes him off the line. No big deal, right? Pushes him off the line. Okay. Now he's going to push him off the line again. Boom. Gives him a little feint. Okay. Now again, same sequence, right? Pushes him off the line again. Look at him. He waits for him. He's trying to fight. And Shakur Stevenson refuses. Continues to pendulum step off the line. If this was baseball, well, we just got a guy on the line, right? We got a guy on first base now. I know that's not how boxing works, but this is how you add defense into things, right? Who's controlling the pace? Who's controlling what? Shakur Stevenson is desperate not to even be on the line with this guy at all. He's not trying to even win. He's just trying desperately not to lose. Now again, feinting, pushing him off the line, okay, toward the end of the round. And here he is, waiting for him, all right? Come back, Shakur. Come back, okay? Now at the end of the round, he's going to do a little bit of feinting. He's going to use a little bit of, again, Edwin De Los Santos kind of staying on the line here, okay? And he's going to attack him. He's going to throw his jab, and he's going to get countered. Again, when Edwin De Los Santos tries to fight, Shakur Stevenson runs. He pendulum steps off the line. Or he ducks below the waist and tries to hold. When Shakur Stevenson tries to fight, Edwin De Los Santos is there ready to engage. This fight was a joke. If you want to be the face, you're the face of boxing is a joke. The way that the rules were enforced, this was disgusting. Shakur Stevenson was fighting like a complete amateur. Again, ducking below the waist, tries to get a counter, gets countered, ducks below the waist, holding again. Don't worry, we got a few more. Pushes him off the line, throws a hook, lands a good clean hook, and again, Shakur Stevenson ducking below the waist. Now look at his arm. It's on Edwin De Los Santos' butt. Why would it ever be there, guys? Use just some common sense. This is not boxing. This is what amateurs do. Amateurs get warned for this. You're not allowed to duck your head below the waist. You're not allowed to duck your head and point the top of your head at your opponent. I think, in fact, if you interpret the rules most appropriately, you should probably always have your eyes on your opponent's eyes at all times. And if you're not in a position where you can be like that, you're in a position that's not allowed in boxing. Right? If you can't make eye contact with your opponent, your back is turned or your head is down, right? There's no way he can see his eyes. None. Again, landing a jab to the body, pushing him off the line, right? Over and over and over again. Again, Shakur Stevenson ducking below the waist, right? Grabbing him by the waist, and look at him throw him this time. Look at him throw him and then try to punch him. It's blatant cheating. It's blatant cheating. And the only reason he's going to get away with it against Edwin De Los Santos is because, interesting, in the breakdown, if you look at the guy's box rank, it says they're both 5'8", but there's no way Shakur Stevenson is 5'8" and Edwin De Los Santos is 5'8". But you don't get to cheat like this and use that physical advantage of spinning a guy around after you duck below the waist and cheat, right? It's not going to work against the bigger guy, right? And if you're doing things that would never work against a bigger guy, it's cheating, right? So anyway, pushing him off the line. Now check this out, okay? This is really interesting. Not just throwing one jab, not just throwing two jabs, throwing three jabs. Scoring again. But Shakur Stevenson taking literally no risk. Looking literally to not interact with him at all. Pushing him off the line. Okay. 1-1. Pushing him off the line. Now look what happens when Shakur Stevenson doesn't duck below the waist. Eats a body shot. Right? This is what's supposed to happen. Look, he ran all that way. The ring got cut off. He had no place to go. Well, once there's no place to go, if you stay in bounds, right, crosses his line. Edwin De Los Santos finds a shot. What a different fight it would be if the rules for the fight were actually enforced. Pushes him off the line, right? Pendulum step, 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 until he waits him in the. Floyd Mayweather used to do the same thing. Do you guys remember that? That if anyone tried to pendulum or fight him, he would just run and run and run and run and run and run until you stopped, until you let him in the back into the. But that's not boxing, right? Like, it seems silly now to like change the rules of boxing, right, and have just smaller rings, right? Like, what do we need rings this big for, right? But this is ridiculous. Now, if you want to score the fight, right, this is one of the best sequences to judge the scoring. Okay? He's going to throw a jab here. Did he land? For some reason, the judges thought he did. Right? Okay, that's fine. De Los Santos was like, okay, comes in, jab, steals a jab to the body. Right? As Shakur Stevenson runs away. What did you see? Did you see Shakur land? Did you see De Los Santos land? Kind of taster's choice, right? But everything that De Los Santos did in this fight was harder than what Shakur Stevenson did. He did it against a bigger opponent. He dominated him on the line. This fight was a joke. Okay? Now, shooting a jab here, getting countered, and again, Shakur Stevenson ducking below the waist, grabbing, right? Shoving him and throwing him. You're no longer allowed to fight here, right? So that was it, right? Those are the only sequences. Okay? We have Shakur Stevenson throws a jab, gets attacked back, ducks below the waist, cheats, grabs, or throws a jab, gets attacked back, eats a jab to the body, loses the sequence. Loses both sequences, has to cheat his way out of one, gets hit on the other, doesn't win hardly any first contact. This fight was just a joke. It was a joke. Boxing is a joke for this happening, right? Anyway, if I can find a full copy of the fight, I'll be doing a film study of it on Patreon. Yeah, what a terrible fight. What a terrible fight. What terrible ruling. I guess I'll do like a little bit of a rant. But the commentary. The commentary, that was some of the worst and most biased and horrible commentary I've ever heard. Saying, oh, Shakur Stevenson's keeping a good distance. Oh, he's keeping a good distance. And saying that Shakur Stevenson's not pressing the action. They know that. And then at the end, trying to make that narrative that that Edwin De Los Santos didn't push the pace either. That he didn't push the narrative of the fight. And he literally chased Shakur around. He tried to get on the line with him almost every moment of the fight. And here's the thing is if you have time to pendulum step off the line, why are you not countering? Right? Why was Shakur Stevenson not trying to counter him? Why wasn't he trying to control him? Why wasn't he landing more punches? Why wasn't he landing any punches? Like, the first 6 rounds felt like a shutout for De Los Santos. It didn't look like it could possibly lose this fight. Just unreal. And the idea that Shakur's not going to get penalized for running, right? Come on, do you guys remember when we all hated Guillermo Rigondeaux for this? We don't remember that? Come on. What a joke. Now, what did Rigondeaux do when he didn't run? You remember when he fought Casimero and he ran the whole time? What did he do against Loma when he didn't run? He ducked below the waist. right? Because his skills were not up par. Here we got both of them here, right? Anyway, um, yeah, this fight sucked. Um, Navarrete versus we'll watch that one on Patreon, by the way. But Navarrete versus Robson Conceição was a sick fight. Really, really good effort from Robson. Even though I thought he lost, I thought he got his butt kicked. I thought Navarrete was kind of in cruise control, like all fight. Like the talent was there, the heart was there, the desire was there to win from Robson, but lack of power, lack of head movement, just like a few minor things um, that really just stopped him from being able to be really effective against Navarrete. And I think the linchpin was just it felt like at the end of almost every round, Navarrete would hurt him. Navarrete would hurt him. He'd get him with a couple of good shots, and you know, when you compare that to what Robson was actually getting done, like for real, like it just didn't really compete. You know, I guess like if you want to say it like if there was a minute extra in each round, that would have never favored Robson Conceição. Not even close, right? All the rounds ending was a benefit to him to get a rest because he was working really, really hard, throwing a lot of punches, not really blocking shit. Anyway, um, yeah, yeah, yeah. I know, Shakur Stevenson fans. I know you guys are not gonna be happy. I know. Keep it to yourself because you're wrong.